Blefuscu lay on the other side of the sea. The Lilliputians also thought that Gulliver had fallen from the moon, as they did not know of any other men that lived on the earth. After Gulliver had learned the language fairly well and could write it, he sent a petition to the king requesting that his chains be taken off and that he be allowed to walk about. The king granted freedom to Gulliver. The king and his courtiers had gained faith in Gulliver and treated him well. A few days passed. Gulliver's clothes were almost in rags. The 300 tailors had not yet been able to stitch his new suit, and he had no hat. Gulliver was greatly pleased one day when a message came to the king informing him that some men had found a great black mass on the shore. Gulliver was sure that it must be his hat, and it turned out that it was his hat indeed. Wearing his hat, Gulliver went to see the city, which was called Mildando. He took off his coat, lest it might damage the roofs or chimneys of the houses, and then stepped over the houses very carefully. About a fortnight after Gulliver's visit to the city, Reldresal, the king's chief secretary, came to meet him. Reldresal had become Gulliver's good friend. He had a long and serious talk with Gulliver about the troubles in the kingdom. The country was in danger of another invasion by the people of Blefuscu. Reldresal told Gulliver that a war with Blefuscu had been raging for some years over a petty issue. It had always been the custom in Lilliput to break an egg at the breakfast from the white end, but it had so happened that the present king's grandfather, as a boy, had once cut his finger when breaking an egg. Whereupon his father gave an order that in future all his subjects should break their eggs from the narrow end. This had greatly angered the people, and they had refused to obey. As a consequence, the heads of many Lilliputians had been cut off, or they had been thrown into prison. Thousands had fled for refuge to Blefuscu. These big Indians, as they were called, had been very well received by Blefuscu, and the Emperor of Blefuscu had taken it upon himself to interfere in the affairs of Lilliput, thus bringing on a war. Reldresal told Gulliver that the king depended on him to help them in defeating the Blefuscan fleet. Gulliver promised to help the Lilliputians. We have completed the reading of our first lesson. Now please read it again yourself and complete exercise page number 12 and 13 in your Smart English course book, and send your homework to your subject teacher.